organization, and they really didn't have a choice where they would go. The one did not want to be beaten for the gospel, so they ended up being sent to Nepal. They show up in country, and they said they were here to reach this unreached people group. And in the midst of that, one of the people said they beat the last missionaries that went in there. So they looked all over and they traveled, and they finally end up spending the night in a leper's hospital. In the leper's hospital, they met someone that knew where this tribe was, this group was, and so they were able to arrange for them to go there. And so the two men went, and instead of going in preaching the gospel, he said, "Why don't you tell me about your tribe, and why don't you tell me about the land?" And so this man said that the king held his hand, and he wasn't a holding hand type guy, and said they walked all over, and he would point to this rock, and this rock meant this, and this meant that, and all like that. And so when everything was over the day, he listened to the king, again, holding his hand, just talking. The king says, "What do you have to say to us?" He says, "I have a message from God. Do you want to hear it?" And the king said, "Yes." So they all gathered around, and they had the Jesus film, a small TV and a generator. They showed the Jesus film, and at the end they gave an altar call, as we would call it, and almost every hand went up, and the king stood up, and he said, "Everybody's hand goes up on this." So the whole tribe converted to Christianity, to following Jesus Christ that night. So they left there, and they went back to the leper hospital, and they went back to the village in the morning, and as they saw the truck approaching, the whole village started running towards the truck. And the guy said, "Lord, is this the day I get beat for the gospel?" But God did so many miracles that night that they said that limbs were growing out, that people had been healed, and it was one of the most miraculous miracles that they had ever seen. See, we may not always want to go where He wants us to go. But when we sing this song, "I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll do whatever you want me to do." It is when we surrender to that point that we will see God shake heaven and earth. We will see the United States of America turn around.
Amen.
As long as we set parameters, as long as we set limits on what we will and we won't do. And by the way, that's not being a disciple. That's being self and acknowledging Jesus. But Jesus said, "If you are my disciple, you will deny yourself. Take up your cross daily and follow me." The cross wasn't something we wear around our neck. It was an emblem of death and destruction. It's the most painful torture known to man at that time. Jesus said, "If you want to be my disciple," see, God always gives us a choice. Always gives us a choice. So, John, as you sing that again, I want you that mean it from your heart. And I was listening to Karen behind me. She was singing it out, saying, "I'll go wherever you want me to go." And I know that about you, and I know it about Scott. God's called us for such a time as this. So I'd like, John, if you'd lead that again, and then we're going to go into the message.
I'll follow you anywhere. I'll follow you anywhere you want to go. I'll follow you anywhere. I'll follow you anywhere.